This episode is brought to you by nvdhemp.com. So let's talk CBD for a minute. It's all over the news, and there are so many PGA Tour players using it, such as Phil Mickelson and Bubba Watson, to name a few, but there are many others, and now some top teachers, including myself, are taking advantage of this amazing product. But what is it exactly? Short for cannabidiol, CBD is a chemical compound from the cannabis plant. It's a naturally occurring substance that's used in products like oils and roll-ons to impart a feeling of relaxation and calm and to reduce inflammation as well. Now, it doesn't get you stoned, but it has many organic rejuvenating effects. One of my favorite brands is Enveed. Their CBD products come in 3 varieties: Relief, Clarity, and Relax. Relief CBD products help relieve pain and those sore muscles. Clarity allows you to focus on those critical shots or whatever the task is at hand. And Relax CBD products are for those anxious golf moments or those moments in your life when you just need to take the edge off. I would not endorse any product that I didn't use personally, and I can tell you that I've been testing this stuff for over a month now, and it's a game changer. I take a drop of Relax right before bed, and it's helped me get some of the best sleep that I've had in years, which for those that know me, I'm up all the time with a busy mind, so it's really, really helped, and I feel so much better in the morning after just getting some deep REM sleep for a change. I also take a drop of the Clarity in the morning with my coffee to kind of get my day started, which is giving me an alertness and a focus that I have never experienced in my life. It's just unbelievable. I also use the roll-on for some sore muscles and joints after a run or a workout. Right now, I have an incredible offer for you. Go to nvdhemp.com and use the promo code GURU20, that's GURU and the number 20, for a 20% discount for life. You heard it right, 20% discount for life. Go check it out. I'm telling you, it's a game changer in golf and in your life. Now let's get to this week's episode.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
You know how to cut to the core of me, Baxter. You're so wise. You're like a miniature Buddha, covered in hair.
I want to become a guru so girls will like me. Then I will like myself.
This is where they fought the Battle of Gettysburg. 50,000 men died right here on this field, fighting the same fight that we're still fighting amongst ourselves today. This green field right here, painted red, bubbling with the blood of young boys, smoke and hot lead going right through their bodies. Listen to their souls, man. I killed my brother with malice in my heart, hatred, destroyed my family. You listen. You take a lesson from the dead. If we don't come together right now on this hollow ground, we too will be destroyed. Just like they were. I don't care if you like each other or not, but you will respect each other. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll learn to play this game like men.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Golf Guru Show. I'm Jason Sutton, and I'm the Guru, where it is my mission to interview the top golf instruction minds in the business, break them down, unpack them, tease out all the habits, best practices, stories, and awesome information that have made them great and successful, then ultimately share it with you so we can all get better at teaching and coaching this crazy game. Make sure you download this episode and all the other episodes of the Golf Guru Show. Hit that purple subscribe button so you don't miss any future shows that will be coming your way. I'm so excited to share with you this next interview with my friend Eric Cogorno. Eric is a teaching professional that teaches at Bethlehem Golf Club in Pennsylvania and is the owner and operator of Cogorno Golf, which is one of the best online golf instruction platforms where he sells subscriptions to his lesson plans and videos for the average golfer. This is one of the reasons that I wanted to have him on the show so he could share the process in which he developed his brand, grew his community through his hundreds of YouTube videos and his website. Eric is a brilliant coach and a very savvy businessman, which has done an amazing job scaling his business through this online platform. There is so much to learn from this approach as we are all trying to grow our teaching business, and I think this is a thing of the future as we have a lot of similarities as I'm trying to grow my app from Swing U, which is coming along. But this has been very inspiring to listen to his process of, how he's gone through trials and tribulations, mistakes that he's made, failures that we all go through when we're trying to start up a business. The other part that I really admire about Eric is his desire for personal growth. And I thoroughly enjoyed this interview as we have had several of the same influences in our life that have really affected us in a positive way. You've heard me talk about on this show plenty of times, such as Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, and Gary Vaynerchuk, and a few others, as we discuss in this wide-ranging conversation where we talk about all of the above and then really dig deep into his business, his teaching process, but also his very structured morning and daily routine that I think you'll find very inspiring and helpful for a personal growth standpoint. Both of our journeys are very similar in the fact that high performers are not always born, but instead they are transformed by daily habits, surrounding themselves with great mentors, and then just old-fashioned hard work, which oftentimes, as we talk about in this conversation, makes you want to quit, makes you want to get lazy, but the best just keep going, follow their passion, and don't quit when the going gets tough or you find yourself maybe spinning your wheels a little bit. So without further ado, I bring you Mr. Eric Cogorno. Enjoy. All right, Eric, welcome to the show, man. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, Jason, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
So I've been wanting to get you on for quite some time because I know we met several years ago. I think, if you can remember, I think it was at the Top 100 Summit at Duke. I mean, I think we had known each other through social before that. But remember, we spent some time together that week. And then I've sort of been, obviously peeking on your career as you've gone along. But what kind of interests me starting out, because everybody asked, how'd you get into the golf question? But I want to start somewhere else that I think we have sort of parallel interest, and that's personal development. And I think some of our influences in our backgrounds really, really match. And I've heard you in a few interviews mention Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins, and those have been two of my probably biggest influences, like back in the day, listening to some of their programs. How did you find Jim Rohn, by the way? Because he's an older guy that sadly passed away a few years ago. And then talk a little bit about that influence and how that's changed your life, because it's changed mine a tremendous amount.
Yeah, that's a beautiful place to start. I think personal development for me really came into my life probably starting 3 to 4 years ago. So I just turned 31. So I was probably 27, 28. And the first person that I was introduced to was from a friend. It was Tony Robbins, right? Which I think a lot of people kind of get the Tony Robbins intro.
Absolutely.
And so I started listening to Tony Robbins. And at that point, it was like when I first got into going to the gym. I'd listen a little bit, then I wouldn't. Then I'd listen a little, then I wouldn't. And that probably went on for a few months where it was mostly Tony Robbins. And then in one video, I heard him mention Jim Rohn.
Yeah, he was his mentor.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so I think I just searched his name. I saw one of his videos, and I kid you not. I mean, that's 3 years ago now. Jason, probably listened to Jim Rohn no less than 3 days a week, like him specifically still. And man, when I found out he passed away, dude, it felt like I lost a friend.
Me too.
Oh, it was so tough.
One of my that was one of my tragedies in life, that I never got to actually meet him and tell him how big of an influence he had on my life. Crazy, right?
Dude, me too. And I think for me, the personal development, and maybe you too, came from me trying to be better at coaching.
Absolutely.
Right. So it was like, hey, I want to become a better golf coach. I was studying communication. We all get lost in the golf swing mechanics, maybe more than we need to. But I think part of it really started with how do I get better at that and actually coach other people. I was coaching a lot of younger, good players, and really trying to mold them. And so that's where some of the personal development came. But me too, man. I could listen to Jim Rohn all day, every day, John Maxwell.
Yeah.
And then more kind of recent, Gary V, I can take in spurts. He gets me jacked up. I got to watch when I watch him.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's, I mean, you've probably heard me talk, countless times about how he got me into social media. Like I found him, when he started Wine Library TV and, the entrepreneurial side of me and you, which I think your story is fascinating to me because I feel like you bring that entrepreneurial / golf professional golf teacher and blend it so nicely.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's what started as a obsession of learning golf swing, and me, like you and anyone else who starts teaching. My first year or so of teaching, I was absolutely terrible. Right, so it started.
We all were.
Yeah, we're all bad.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I was so obsessed with studying swing mechanics to learn that, just to teach better. Right.
Sure.
And it's been an interesting sort of morph, I guess, over the past decade of, I make no bones about, I mean, eventually I want to get into the personal development space, beyond golf at some point in time. And so that's where my mind's at in the next 5 to 10 years. And so with that and with shifting that focus, Jason, I think a lot of what I learned in the personal development space, I love that we started with this, has come into my golf coaching, where maybe I spend a little less time studying swing mechanics per se, and a little more time on growing the business and the relationship aspect of it.
Yeah, human development, right? I mean, I think there's such a blend, right? As you know, but we teach people, right? We don't teach golf;
Right.
we teach people, and I think that's where you're going. Is if you can learn to do that other stuff, right? As I call sort of the EQ, back to Gary V, EQ versus IQ. I think then as you pick up the IQ stuff, it starts to resonate a little bit easier with your lessons and then communicating with your students.
Dude, I don't even need to add anything to that. That was beautiful.
Well, I think it's fascinating because you're quite a bit younger than me, and how you got that sort of, because Jim Rohn's old school is, I would say, aside from Think and Grow Rich, I mean, he's sort of the father of personal development, and he's spawned all of these mentees like Tony Robbins and Dennis Waitley and Zig Ziglar and all these people that we're sort of associated with. And that's what we're doing as golf instructors, is we're learning from other coaches. Like, who else have been some of your influences as far as coaching as you've come up?
Yeah, I think real quick on the Jim Rohn thing, I was listening literally yesterday to something. He was at, I think, the Coliseum. It was 1981, and we're in it's 2020 now. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, this happened 40 years ago, right? And the conversation he was happening could have been this morning. I mean, everything that he talked about is just timeless. It's unbelievable. So,
that the weekend seminar is like the one that I kind of, going back to that a little bit. We can dive into this as deep as we want, but I'm so passionate about it because it had such an effect in my life, and it was about the time when I was like 28, 29 years old, barely younger than you, that I found this, as far as like, all right, this is life changing, but also it transformed my coaching. But it was when you could actually burn CDs legally back in those days. And I literally listened to probably an hour a day for like 2 or 3 years. It was crazy. So our Automobile University is what Zig Ziglar called it.
Yes.
And that's sort of what and now it's podcast, right? So now it's like, listening to podcasts. So it's the same kind of thing. What are you doing now in that space?
Yeah.
Like,
so I do, I'm like anal about stuff. So I keep a lot of lists of like daily, weekly, monthly stuff. And so I make sure every day I listen to 30 minutes, do 30 minutes of personal development every day, like a religion. And I would listen to various things on that. But what Jim Rohn opened my eyes to was that I was in control of me being better. Like his classic line, right, of the sort of coin flip of everything could be better, but you must be better. It's the blessing and the curse.
For things around you to change, you have to change.
I was like, oh my
There
gosh,
it is.
it's so simple and so perfect.
Yeah.
And it all this applies to golf in so many ways. It's ridiculous. But to answer your question more directly, I mean, the Jim Rohn and the personal development, I've seen a correlation with my coaching and my business 100%. But from the golf perspective, I've had a few guys local, like I think a lot of us do, that I learned from when I was younger and growing up. One of the guys that I work with named Paul Viola was really instrumental, that coach at the course that I work at and learning. And then there were some guys in my section that were super helpful when I was coming up. Bob Kramer, I know you know John Dunnigan,
Absolutely.
Dom DeJulia.
Yep.
So when I was younger, I used to go and I would shadow coaches, which is what we did. And some people do still, but I think that's fleeting. You can watch that online and stuff,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I would coach Monday through Saturday, and then Saturday afternoon and Sunday I'd go shadow a coach that I could drive to. And Dom DeJulia was the first guy I ever watched that I went to that I was like, wow, like he's so clearly better than me at every area of coaching that I need to learn some of this. And so I ended up working with him a little bit for like a year and a half.
So you're Mr. Shoaf, right?
That's right. That's exactly. I'll take that. For those who know what that is.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of my coaching stuff went, Jason, is just I would go shadow people. I would look up the lists of the top 100 or whatever top coaches, and I'd search online for any videos they'd had. The same thing I'm sure you did. I read every book, watched every show, and then I think what happened is probably 6, 7, 8 years into doing that, I realized that I put more weight on how someone swings a club and not enough weight on how I talk with them, how I motivate them, and how I help them outside of that. And I think that was really the maybe beginning processes that spurred some of the personal development, watching those videos.
Sure. Yeah. The bedside manner, like you said, watching their body language, things that the intangibles as I talk about is so important, isn't it?
Yeah. And listen, like the mechanics have a role. I mean, you just swing a club,
Absolutely.
Right? But
yeah.
I'm in there trying to get Johnny to get his trail arm more external, and like he's mad at his mom for something. And then, it's just like, what are we doing here? And so that was really eye opening. And it applies now. Like I've shifted a lot more into normal golfers and golf schools, but it's the same stuff. It's the same, the sort of weight across the board on what's important.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, so take us back and give us that little bit of backstory, because I think it's kind of interesting how you got into teaching and how early you got into teaching. So talk a little bit about that, your childhood, and sort of how that influenced you to get where you are today.
So I started golfing simply due to the fact that my dad played and wanted to spend time with my dad on the weekends. So I probably started swinging a club when I was like 12, but I really started playing when I was 15. And I would go to the course. I'd play with my dad and his buddies, and they were pretty good. They were pretty good players. They'd shoot like low to mid 70s type of players. And so literally just for me to like not be embarrassed to be able to spend time with them, I started playing and practicing, getting obsessed with trying to get better, just to fit in with that group of guys to play on the weekend. It's funny looking back upon literally that motivating factor led to so many things afterwards. And so I'm playing through high school. I start playing tournament golf. I go and play in college at a small school where I'm at, Lehigh.
Yep.
And so my first year of college, I get recruited to go play. It's Patriot League, right? So it's not like LSU, Florida type of thing. We're talking a little bit. It was okay. It was fun.
Yeah.
So I go in there 2007, 2008 with the idea that I'm going to go get into finance, right? So these kids recruit me. They're going to Lehigh. They get MBAs. They come out of school, good jobs, good money. Boom, I go in, and then what happens? 2008 happens, right? The economy goes down.
Yep.
And so it's interesting timing. I'm kind of halfway through my first semester thinking I'm going to go to Lehigh, get an MBA, do finance, move to New York City, and that's what I'm going to do, like investment banking. That was my plan. And then these same kids who were recruiting me were in school for 6 years. had $200,000 to $300,000 worth of debt and couldn't get a job. And so I'm like, all right, like I need to have a little backup plan here. And at the time, I'm picking balls at a range that I work at now still at Bethlehem Golf Club, and I'm making like $7 an hour maybe at that point in time picking balls. And at the same time frame, and I tell this story, and it's just unbelievable timing. As this economy stuff's going on, I'm picking balls. I walk inside the pro shop, and the guy I won't say his name, was teaching golf there at the time. He just gave a half-hour lesson, Jason, and he told me he made $50 for this half-hour lesson.
It's pretty good for that time of year.
Oh,
that time frame.
Dude, I'm out there on the picker going over bumps. It's 100 degrees out. I'm sweating, and I'm thinking I just made like $5 after taxes. He made $50 in 30 minutes, and I was watching him. Didn't even look like he was doing anything. And so, that's really how my teaching started. Of course, I love golf. Of course, I want to help people, right?
So it was more monetarily driven.
Dude, no doubt. Like if
That's
I'm being
okay.
about it,
I don't hate that.
Yeah, it was like, dude, I need a backup plan, and that's when I was 18. So I'm first semester of college. I asked him right away, hey, I want to start teaching. He said, cool. And then a lot of bad lessons took place nearly after, and here we are.
So you immediately started teaching right after that? Like
I watched. Yeah, I watched him teach for about a month, and then I watched one of the other guys at the course, Mark Sensitz, teach for probably like 2 months. And I would sit with a pad and kind of take notes about what I saw. And now I had been taking lessons from this guy previously, so I was like around it. I was hitting balls. I kind of had a general idea of what's going on. But I mean, that first year or so of the lessons is like anything new is,
But you're getting paid.
Dude, I was making bank at that point. I think I charged $30 when I started.
Yeah.
I was like $30, and I was nervous about that 30. I remember when I first told someone, "Hey, I'll give you a lesson for $30." You almost like say it real quiet, you like don't want to say it too loud. And people started coming in paying $30. I was making $30 for 45-minute lessons out of nowhere, thinking like, dude, this is I'm living at home with my mom. I got no bills. Life is good. I'm gonna buy a car, and $30, man. Yes, sir. And
this was during college or right after? You say right after college.
So I'm 18 at this point, and I'm playing in school. Now, there's some NCAA rules, collecting money and stuff. So it was about that 18, 19 time frame.
We won't tell anybody. Nobody listens. Right,
yeah. I didn't win any tournaments or anything for them to go back and do anything anyway. Nothing's getting pulled off the wall.
So you graduate, and then are you still at the same place, or where did your career go from there?
So I never graduated from Lehigh. So I went and so I left school. I'm teaching golf. There were some other things going on for me personally at the time, right? It wasn't just the economy. Yeah. I had some other things for me. And so I left school, I started teaching, and then I kind of was on and off with that for a little bit. And then I would say when I was probably 23 was when I was really like, okay, like I'm going to teach, I'm going to get good at this coaching. I'm going to really study and invest my time. That 19 to 23 time frame was me like figuring out myself and some other stuff.
Yeah. That was my next question, is like, when you sounded like that was it. I was very much the same way. I came up, but I was in the PGA program and I was teaching, but I had no clue. Right. I mean, I got no guidance. It's just like that was sort of expected. You work in the shop half a day, and then they throw you out on the lesson tee. But it's like, when did you have that spark to go, all right, well, I've been doing this. I'm really not doing great. If you start looking around, like you said, if you start looking at the people around you, start visiting other coaches, and you go, okay, this is different. I'm not doing that, right? I'm not talking like that. And so it's like, was that the time when you sort of got that ignition a little bit to really start to get better at teaching?
I think so. I think part of it for me was off course, right? I had gotten into like going out and drinking a lot. I got a DUI. There was some off work things that happened for me where like, I was always the kid at school that did sports in school. Like I graduated in the top 20 of my school. I like studied on the weekends. Like I wasn't partying, right? And so there was like a phase of there where I was kind of testing out some different things and doing stuff.
Yeah, sure.
and I got off course of what I would normally do. And so I think for me, it was more of just getting back on course and being like, okay, like I'm not going to be 21 and like live at my mom's forever. I need to do something here. And then I think coupled with what you said, my whole life was sports and everything was always very competitive,
Mm-hmm.
and got decent at things more out of that, right? More out of like, I don't want you to beat me more than I want me to be good, if that makes sense.
Sure, absolutely.
And so, yeah, I saw some of these. I mean, I distinctly remember Dom DeJulia and that day where he was like taking, you know, he was taking someone through a course map, right? Of like where you plot shots and stuff. And I'm like trying to figure out like how someone grips a club, thinking like, what am I doing? And it was like that with Dunnigan too, where I was like, oh man, like, Schefter. I mean, these guys are just so much better than I am. And then it was more, I think, about insecurity of myself, of like, I need to kind of get up to this level that started a lot of that process in the beginning.
Yeah, and now we're really getting into the good stuff.
Yeah, that's the truth, man.
But I mean, that's normal, right? I mean, you started younger than most, even nowadays. I mean, I got two young coaches that work for me, but they're coming out of PGM programs. Like you were hitting the ground running, like you're in the street, right?
Yeah.
So you're like trying to figure it out. Like that's what I love about your career. It's like that's the good stuff, right? But I mean, you're gonna make mistakes. And at that age, you're gonna, you've got to figure it out. You were sheltered when you were coming up through high school, and you're like, okay, now let's go figure out what everybody else was doing while I was studying.
That's exactly right. And I
okay.
found out the long and hard way.
Yeah, that's all right. But I mean,
Yeah.
and I think that makes you who you are, and it makes you make better decisions as you get older and get more mature. So how long did you teach? I'm not going to give your story away for those of you that don't know what you're doing now, which is incredible. How long did you teach like the normal sort of one-off lessons until you started figuring out you wanted to go online and start doing like a subscription-based type of program?
So from 23 to 28 was when I was doing individual lessons, and that time frame I built from that $30, scared lesson one up to like, I remember I went to 40, and that was nervous for me. And then I think the following year I went to 60, and then it was 80, and then 120. So it just kind of gradually built up. I went from, like we all kind of do, you teach, Joe golf or whatever, into some better players, some kind of more juniors, high school, college, etc. And so by the time I was 28, this is 3 years ago now, the summer before then, I'm teaching a lot. And it's like a lot of guys in the golf industry say I teach all day, 6-7 days a week, which really means they have like 4 lessons a day, and then they like take a lunch, right, and then they go hit ball, And I was really teaching a lot, like actually like on the mat for a lot of time. And I think what happened was I got to the end of that summer, and this was 27 going on 28. And I mean, dude, I was tired, like burnt out, not enjoying it. These lessons at the end of the day were not getting anything close to my lesson at the beginning of the day. Like I could feel it.
Sure.
And I'm like, I can't do this for the next 40 years. It's one of those, I love it, but I don't love it like to that extent. Right. And so I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Now, again, see, I've been very fortunate, Jason, to meet the right people at the right time. Now, there's no doubt I put myself in a position to meet them, right? It didn't happen completely by accident from my perspective, but
sure.
I met my now business partner, Mary Langle.
You just stole my question. I was going to say, yeah. So then that happens. And then, tell us that story, because that's where it all starts, right?
That's where it all starts. I'm in the middle of this burnt out, teaching a lot phase. And then Mary comes and takes a golf lesson. No plan. She just comes in to take a lesson. Normal person. And her doctor was the father of one of the kids that I've taught for a long period of time. So that's how that relationship got built. Came in for a lesson. At that point, Jason, I was doing like group practices. So there'd be like 10 kids, let's say, we'd practice for an hour or two. And we normally had like music going. The kids had personalities. It was like a fun environment, not quite like Gigi style, but like closer to that, right? Somewhere in the middle, maybe.
You were wearing a few hoodies in your videos. I did notice that.
Some of the old ones, dude. We got to delete
The
those.
first one.
Son of a gun. Yeah. Very casual.
All right.
And so she rolls in, and her first lesson was the hour right after our group practice. All these kids are there. And she's like, hey, now she has a background in PR.
Right. Yeah. Give her a little context, like what she does and why she, when she said what she said, how that meant so much to you.
So she's a background in PR. She worked with different companies. One of them, Rodale. She worked with some, I won't name names because I'm not sure how that is, but like some famous people, like everyday names you would know, that she would go on tours with them, book tours. So she's used to the promotional side of things, right? Public relations. And so she's like, hey, you should do something with this. Like, she's like, I don't know if it's a show. I don't know if we should record it, so on and so forth. And I really, really, really didn't want to do it. It wasn't like, yeah, cool. Like, this is great. Here's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to do YouTube and then this, right?
Yeah.
It was like, Mary, I'm tired. Like, I teach all day. I don't have time, this, that, and the next thing. So she convinces me to start filming. We film our first, our videos in the beginning were me giving live lessons.
I was going to say, what's the structure look like initially? Like, what's, just live lessons, or is it just you turn the camera on, or is it like tips?
Live lessons. So we, no clue what we're doing. Like, hey, she has a camera, let's go. And I said, basically what I agree with her was that I don't have time to take additional time to do this.
Right.
What I will do is, hey, I have 9 lessons tomorrow. You can come film however many you want, right? Yeah. And so she, unbelievable on her part in the beginning.
She's D-Rock right now.
Dude, she's unbelievable.
For Gary V. Like, you talked about that in one of your interviews, how do I scale my business? You probably weren't thinking about it at that time, but you're ultimately doing that.
Exactly. It led to that. Yeah. It led to that without me knowing. So she's recording the lessons. They're live lessons, me teaching a kid. A lot of gold in there, I think, looking back upon them.
Yeah.
But no one watches, right? As no one does when you first start anything, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, no, I didn't know that. Okay. I didn't
freaking out.
We're wasting time here. There's 27 people watch this thing, right?
Yeah.
And so we put a video up, and I'm not sure how it is with the podcast, but with the YouTube, there's a lot of editing involved. So it's not like,
Absolutely.
You don't film and then press one thing, it's on. And so there's a lot of time that goes into it. And so we're putting videos up, no one's watching. And then when I say no one, I'm talking like 13 views, 20 views, whatever. That's after a couple of days, of being on there.
Yeah.
And so we continue doing that for like a year. And now I think it's important to say that within that year of doing it, I wanted to quit a lot. Right.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good point.
Yes. We all look at the end product of what people do and make assumptions of what the process was. It was a debacle a lot to times.
I'm sure you go ask Gankus, like, what did his first couple, what did this thing look like at the beginning? It doesn't, it's, you got to have patience, right?
A lot of patience.
Yeah. I'm doing right now, like, again, parallels to what we're doing now. I just started an app last year. I'm in the same sort of situation. It's like I'm putting out content that like nobody's looking at right now because nobody's, it's like until you start getting that following, it's tough to like motivate yourself. So I know where you were. So how did you keep yourself going? What made you keep going?
Mary,
she just kept pushing you. You had a nice little coach there.
I tell people all the time who ask me about doing things like this, and I say the value I've experienced thus far and things that have been successful, I've always had a partner. I've had an accountability person because there are a lot of days where I'd have shut it down. I mean, if it was just me, I would have shut that down. And so a lot of credit goes to her on that. And then we filmed videos. I'm talking, we must have filmed 3 to 5 lessons a week, right? So a couple of days a week. For a year, it took us a full calendar year to get to 1,000 subscribers, right? So I think we put our first video January 1st, 2017. So it was like 3 years ago.
Yep.
And then about a year went by and we were nervous, like creeping over this 1,000 subscriber mark. And then we had a meeting one day where I was like, I'm sick and tired of this. Like, I think our videos are good. We're doing something wrong, whatever. So I go on YouTube and I'm looking up Mark Crossfield, all these guys that are doing, like, people are watching. I'm like, what are they doing? Like, what's going on here? And it became evident that the title of the video,
SEO. Yep.
yeah, the thumbnail, and it needed to be a tip video and not me doing a lesson. Those three things were evident. And the next day, we filmed one simple downswing move to gain 30 yards or something like that.
Yeah.
And then poof, right? The view seemingly overnight, the views started to change. People watched, and then we had a recipe because I don't mind, Jason, going close to the edge to get someone to click, so long as what comes after that is good.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And so that was a big lesson for me of like our next couple of videos started to hit, and then it really kind of snowballed right after that time frame.
Yeah,
that was a long version.
Your screens. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Like your screens are so catching. You know, like your initial screens. Like you look at it and you're like, okay, I would definitely watch that. You know, if I was an average golfer. So it's like, who does that? Does she do all that for you, or how does that work?
Mary has done all of that the entire time. Filming, editing, thumbnail. I mean, like she does so much. That's what I'm saying. Like
that's huge,
dude. It's unbelievable. God. I got so lucky with meeting her at that time frame. It was awesome. And then we met another guy about not far after, Brixton. His name is. He runs Performance Golf Zone, and we started doing some videos for him. And what we learned from him, we applied in a lot of our business. That was super helpful. Those two people and the timing I met them at was just. I got very lucky.
So let's dig into that a little deeper. I mean, for the listeners out there, and it's interesting because it's almost come full circle. Because I know in 2008, 2009, when I started listening to Gary Vee and I developed my own golf show on YouTube, it was starting to get big, you know, and now it's like fully blossomed. But now we're almost going backwards and going, all right, now we need to go find out where the people are. Like you said, I mean, everybody's online. I've got several of my students, shout out to you, that have come say, you know, this guy, Eric, you know, I was like, yeah, absolutely. I know who he is. I mean, and he's great. So it's like, you know, it's interesting how many people you've reached. So let's dig into just the nuts and bolts of it, right? If somebody's out there, a young professional that wants to get started filming, like what kind of equipment are you using? You know, how important is, and this is stuff that I've kind of gone through, and you know how difficult it is like how, you know, the wireless mics work. I mean, talk a little bit about that process as you said you turn the camera on and then, you know, what happened. So are you upgrading your equipment? I mean, what's happened since then, since you've gotten bigger?
Yeah, if you look at the beginning videos, the quality of the visual is certainly a lot different. So my opinion, Jason, is that the audio is the most important thing to start with.
Okay.
So I think the visual, like if someone's going to go do it, obviously if you could have both, that's fantastic, but things cost money. And when you're starting out, that's hard. I think a wireless mic that's good is priority number one. If I watch a video and the audio is bad, I'm not watching it automatically. If the visual is bad, I may watch it. Watch it.
That's interesting. Yeah. I would have thought it had been the opposite, but yeah, you got to hear what they're saying, right? You got to know, you got to get the message.
Yeah, I think the audio is critical when it's the first time someone sees it. We probably for the first year used just a camera that Mary had. I don't even know what kind it was. It wasn't anything fancy. It was just like a camera she had for us to use. And then about a year in, she upgraded and purchased a new camera. And then I think that was, and I know very little about this, I think that was 4K. And just goes to show you what you can do and not have to know about that if you find the right person. But so 12 months in, we get a second camera. The visual gets a lot better. And then we purchase a third camera. So with the third camera, then we could shoot obviously the two angles at one time.
So you got B-roll and you can put them together. And
exactly. 4K, the editor can chop in. Mm-hmm. Now, we're 3 years just now kind of into doing it. And this year will be the first year now where we will hire out editors. We will hire out some people helping with the camera crew, so Mary doesn't have to do that all by herself.
Yeah, so you're definitely doing well.
But it took like we were talking before we started, like 600, and between the videos that we film for YouTube and the membership site and the other things I do, dude, we film so many freaking videos, it's like out of control.
Yeah, I've found again doing the app now, I've kind of gotten, it's almost like I'm back to like filming YouTube videos again, because I'm just setting the camera up and putting my mic on and teaching.
Yeah.
And it's like you never know what you're going to get. So you can always go in and say, oh, I like what I said there. And you can chop that out and edit it and make a teaser or whatever. So I'm sure you're living your life on camera now.
And I think one thing that's important for me, Jason, that might help someone is I can't watch the video. So like when we film something, I don't ever see it until it's up.
Oh,
Now,
really?
again, I'm super lucky to have Mary, right? That's
Yes.
not everyone can do that. Because if I watch myself on camera, I would be so picky with what goes on.
Yeah.
And I think for someone starting, quantity of videos is more important than quality.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's putting content out, right? I mean, it goes back to keep bringing Gary Vee up. It's like, keep putting content out. If you're looking to build your brand, it's definitely that scenario. It's it's quantity over quality at first, and then you get better, right? I mean, so and that was one of the questions. Yeah. So and I'll throw I hate to keep interrupting because but I want to throw my 2 cents in there. Kind of what my experience is now. I'm just using my iPhone. Like if you got above an iPhone 8, the iPhone 11 camera by now is unbelievable. Then you can find wireless mics now. I got a Comica wireless mic that I found for $200 that works pretty good. You can get started at a very cheap price at this point. I'm not making enough to like get a film crew yet like you, but
Well,
but I
I
think
don't know that we are either, but we're trying.
exactly right. Yeah, but I think you can definitely do it on the cheap, especially if you have a phone or an iPhone.
And I want to touch on that, Jason, because I think it's important. Anyone could get an iPhone and get a decent mic and get going and get started. The real thing here is, are you gonna do the videos for the year when no one watches and keep doing them?
That's right.
And there's not a lot of us that are going to do that. And that's just the reality of it. And you have to keep in mind, like, as we go, like, I probably spend 5 to 10 hours a week. And listen, I'm in here. I watch the Facebook groups. I watch other people's videos. The titles and topics of our videos aren't just like, oh, let's do this. Like there's time and energy and effort that goes into what goes on here. So, if you can get through that phase of doing it and spend 5 hours, right? And we all could find 5 hours, and they're not time
Right.
thing. And spend 5 hours and research, like, what could I improve? What are these people doing? What are the topics that are good? How can I communicate better? And you do that year after year after year after a couple of years, inevitably, right? You're gonna kind of have a little bit of momentum there.
Yeah, for sure. It's like going in, like you said, keywords. I did all that research early on. I squandered it away a little bit by not getting on AdSense. Even though I've got a million views on my YouTube, but that's another topic. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So it's like finding, I went and figured out like, why has this guy got 1 million views and I got whatever? It's like golf tips, whatever those keywords that you're putting in is gonna attract people. And then you got to put the talent out there to keep them, right?
Then you got to put the talent there, and then once you get the ball rolling, the algorithms of the online, like, everything's in your favor. It's like having family wealth, right? Like, now you have your foot's in the door. Now you got to keep the momentum going. It's getting to that breaking point.
Yeah. So talk about like what you're doing now. Like, I think I would describe your process, I guess, your structure is probably one of the most. It's probably the best I've seen because it's so well thought out. Like, how much time does it take to basically do that? As far as like explain what you're doing. I don't want to like ruin it. I don't want to answer the question, but just the way your categories are all set out, with your online site and how your YouTube channel sort of brings people to that, and then your subscription based model. Talk a little bit about that.
So we, like, my weeks look the same. We're like a boring machine, right? On Sundays, I'm going to get to what you just said there. On Sundays, I spend almost all day Sunday preparing for Monday video shoot. We film videos on Monday and Friday. So twice a week we film videos. Our goal in season is to produce 4 videos per week. And then we do a live session on Monday. So it puts us to 5 touches per week. I'd like that to go to 7 moving forward. In the YouTube videos, the goal is to produce content that's helpful for an end user, but at the same time, open the door for them to want more. So One thing we do is we'll do a product. So I might do a video that says, fix your slice in 15 shots is one of our things we promoted. A YouTube video 10 minutes long. Hey, Jason, if you like this, we have a 15 video product on the same thing, much more in depth, right? Practice plan to follow. That's $49. Right?
Behind the paywall. Right. There you go. Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And so that's a portion of where we would want people to go. But really what we're trying to do is build a community, which is our CogornoGolf.com, which is it's a subscription site. It's like a membership site where there's different, and there's two aspects of it. There's the business talk we can have of why we do it, and the why I think it's beneficial for the golfer, the end user.
Let's do both.
So the business side of it, I want to build like a Planet Fitness, right? A gym. So people pay a monthly fee. If they use it, good. If they don't, good. But they still pay a monthly fee, right? The issue I made up until 28 was someone pays me $100. If they don't come, they don't pay me, and they need to be there to pay me.
Yes.
Right. And so that's the model. We do $19 a month, $39 a month, and $99 a month right now. That'll shift a little, but they get access to premium content, which would be that like 15 video explanation. We do those master classes. There's more videos on there than are needed, right? We'll put it that way. I kind of didn't want to put them. But most importantly, Jason, what I'm excited about for why I think it's good is they get into our what now is a Facebook group that's all of the members get on. They can post their swings once a month to get feedback, which I think for the average golfer is plenty for them to do something for 4 weeks. But then there's the community aspect of it, which I love, which I'm finding over time is just as beneficial as when I had the junior group, and I'm sure when you do the same thing.
Yes,
the feeding off of each other that happens within that community has been better than I even anticipated it to be. And so when I do my video review for John on his swing, well, Ben has that same issue, and he just saw it right there, right?
So you're doing it to the whole group, not just to that individual.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is a shift for some people. It's like, they don't get the private, deal. But yeah, that's kind of our play. YouTube video, premium product, or hey, and I believe this to be true. If I give you a video to fix your slice, that's a good start. But ultimately, if you and I could see their swing, that would be the best thing. Like I need to see your swing. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like, hey, Eric, do I need to do this? I don't know. Like I need to see your swing. And so that's a way for us to do it. I was doing online lessons, but they're again the same issue, $100 or nothing. Right.
So you're not doing any online lessons.
I'm not doing any online lessons anymore, and I'm not going to do any private one-on-ones as of this year.
Interesting. Okay.
We started doing 2-day golf schools. I don't know if you have done or don't like the golf school thing. It's a different, play.
Yeah, again, it's
pros
kind
and
of
cons,
coming.
I think.
Right. I mean, I obviously I grew up in my first big teaching job was at a golf school, so I've been through that, and then it kind of went away as the economy didn't allow people to travel and spend their money to come visit us. So I don't know if it'll come around or not. I don't know. Right now, I think the group stuff like you were talking about is very beneficial. I'm doing long-term group coaching. That's about what I do, and unlimited stuff like that. It's just, but that's interesting. So you're talking about that's live though, right? That you doing it, or is that you're talking about golf school online?
I haven't done that, but I like the sound of it. I haven't really thought about that.
That'd be an interesting thing right there.
Yeah, we're doing like 2-day, full day golf school things, with the idea being when you leave the school, you're then going on the site. So it's not like goodbye,
Gotcha.
good luck.
So you get access to all the information, the videos, and the membership. Okay, yeah. That's good. Yeah, and that's very similar to what I'm doing with the app as far as like I got a Facebook feed, community can come in and post, and I've been posting. Yeah, it's very, very similar, just in a little bit smaller space. But yeah, that's good. So all this stuff is helpful for me as well. Hopefully it's coming through to the coaches that listen to the podcast, because I think it's really the future, right? So it's again scaling your business, allowing you to make some extra money when you're not teaching, and building that community and those relationships with people. So talk a little bit about your philosophy. I mean, I know you've had a lot of influences some of the books you've read and some of the, a lot of teachers that you've watched coach, how would you explain just what you teach? Like, let's dig a little bit more into the technical part. What do you believe?
I think that at this point in time, it's important to context that I now teach a lot of golfers who are regular golfers who practice 1 to 2 times a week, and are fighting a big picture ball flight issue. Like when I taught those kids, my approach to the coaching would be different. They spend a lot more time. I think it's a different coaching model. So with the YouTube audience, because I can see all this, I mean, 90% of our people are 45 to 80-year-old men, and most of them are white men. Like that's my demographic that watches the thing. Income, that is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking to that audience, I try and coach like I'm on the other side. I know when I take a lesson, I need something simple. I need to understand a feel, and I need feedback, and I probably can't do more than 1 to 2 things at a time. And so I think when someone comes in to see me or they come to a school or send a swing in, half of the people that I talk with have too many thoughts coming in to see me. So it's not like I've got nothing, like start me off. It's like I've got 18 swing thoughts, and I get this a lot, Jason. I don't know if we all get, but I mean, I get a lot of the guys who are like, dude, I'm trying to do 18 things, and I try and bring them down to 1 or 2. And so I know it's not the direct answer to the question, but that's kind of like what I'm trying to do for a lot of people is just simplify. And I'm talking as simple as like, you have 7 swing issues, but your main issue is you miss to the right too far.
Yeah.
Like
you call that unscrambling the noise, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
A little research back there.
There
baby.
you go.
Come on.
There you go.
And so my main objective with that guy is like, the ball goes right because of this. Here are the main 1 or 2 contributors. Let's start rolling with practice. And then no one I meet ever has come to me and knows how to practice well. Like, I mean, nobody. And so in all my videos, I promote using video and or a training station. And to me, if you're trying to train mechanics and you don't have one of those 2 things in, it's very difficult. I guess the words I'll use with that. Feel versus real, as we know, are very different. And so I'm big on training stations, like a guy like Mike Bender.
Yeah. What does that training station look like? Like, go into detail of what you're describing.
So that could be like a stick with a noodle for a plane station behind. That would come into play a lot. Basic stuff, man, like basic stuff. I believe in trying to fit a lot of normal golfers into basic fundamentals. And it's not sexy, but it's like, dude, it's like handle location at address, ball position, grip, tilt, backswing. Like I like to give people checkpoints, right? So I'll use like the P system a lot. I know you and Dana were talking about, to say,
Sure.
Hey, here's a rough blueprint of what you're trying to do. You need more depth during your backswing, right? Here's roughly where you should be at this position. Here's where you should be here. Now you need to feel whatever you need to feel to get to there, right?
So do you describe, is there videos in your library that describe the P system so they know what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay,
So I give them like checkpoints at all those. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think it's easier for us to be like, well, Eric, is it supposed to feel like this? Well, you have to get from where you are to this general checkpoint, and it may feel super exaggerated, and it doesn't matter what it feels like. You have to get to the checkpoint, and you have to use feedback. That's a lot of what I would coach. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
listen, I have preferences, right? Like I like a neutral to stronger grip. I like a stronger club face. I like a shaft that's inside ball line during the backswing. I like big backswing turns. Like I like good pivots. But
what's a good pivot?
I think a good pivot is, how do I want to word this? So it's neutral. So like, minimal amount of lateral with a reasonable amount of rotation for most people.
Okay.
I get a lot of people who come in who don't have a lot of rotation, and
sure.
I think
they have enough,
they have enough lateral. And so for me,
reasonably centered pivot, I guess would be.
Yep. I like the trail hip to stay inside the line it started on. I like a lot of what George talks about in his videos. I like creating a ball between the right hip. Like I dig that.
Yeah.
I like the sternum and center of pelvis to be pretty much on top of each other at the top. I'd prefer some width in the trail arm close to 90 at the top. Depending upon their grip position, I like to keep people pretty neutral. I won't allow someone to have a good grip unless they've proven to me they can have a weak grip, rather. So if someone comes in and they're a good player and they have a weak grip, I will leave it go.
Sure, yeah.
But I prefer a neutral to strong. So I'm not going to be as like, I'm okay with a slight extension if the grip matches it.
Sure.
And I like a stronger club face because I've seen that it works better.
Yeah.
So
stronger meaning more than matches your lead forearm, or matches it ish.
Yeah, I would say I look for the club face to be tilted down for sure at P2 and close to the back line. I'd rather more than less.
Yeah.
I'd rather the face be pointed more towards the camera at left arm parallel than away from you. If the thing that the person struggles with, to me, outside of the anomaly, is that their club face is too closed, like we're in good shape.
Yeah, I figure it's probably different. And I know, because I used to do a lot of online lessons with like Golf Channel and stuff. It's fixing somebody just looking at their video. A lot of times you got to be super simple, and it tends to go back with, you go back to face and path or whatever. Like you said, you got to teach positions, whether you like it or not. If you're looking at video, that's what we're doing.
I should have led everything I just said with what you just said, because that was a perfect reasoning behind why that all is how it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way it is, right? It's not like you're not in person, you're not looking at TrackMan numbers, you're not really seeing ball flight, you're just going back by what the student says. Then, yeah, you gotta have a reason. You have to have a preference on what you want the club to look like and what the body should look like, and I think there's value to that. There's still value to that. Always will be.
Yeah, when I was coaching more in person and with the better player, there would be more me in there creating feels. I would be much more hands-on with it. But
right.
The big picture things that I really wish I would have hit home when I was younger and starting to teach was that the player must have feedback. Like, gosh, is that so essential? I used to have so many people hit balls with no feedback, and then they'd come back and it'd be the same thing. And that could be a practice station. I know
you like the stick on the target line. Like I like. I think that's the poor man's TrackMan. Really, think about it. You gotta know where the ball starts.
100%. I mean, I like to put things around people like Mike Bender, where they need to figure out how to move around the object to create the feels. And I think the better the player, the more I do that.
Sure.
The maybe higher handicap level, I need to physically go in there a little more. But like, I mean, and I'll see if you agree with this. Someone who let's say shoots over 90 or above, let's categorize it as that. Like, that golfer, most often their club face is too open, or they don't turn enough during the backswing, or they don't have enough depth. I mean, it's big picture stuff.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
versus
it goes back.
Like, your son has a beautiful swing, right? Like, he would need to be coached, I would think, and maybe not. You could speak to it because you do it. The minor details within someone at that level, to me, become more relevant versus someone who needs a like square club face to learn to break 90.
100%. Yeah, I see not enough depth for the most part. Like, and people they're afraid to turn their hips, trail hip. Because, again, it kind of goes back to, I know we've talked in the past about some of the old school myths that are still holding golf instruction back, keeping your right leg flexed, creating torque with your upper body and your lower body in the backstroke. I mean, all that stuff is garbage, right? So it's that kind of stuff that I just don't think, you can work with, unless you're gonna build an army of pull slicers, right? So that's what we're dealing with. So you've got to get people to rotate, and then you got to teach them how to, have a chance to at least get the sweet spot behind the hand path and swing to the right, or at least close.
Listen, no doubt about it. And the people that I'm working with, keep in mind that 45 to 80-year-old,
yes,
they grew up with all that.
That's right. Yeah.
So X-Fat, whatever. So I would say, if I was going to really simplify how I would normally teach someone, I normally always would do club face first. Like, to me, if you're a right-handed golfer and you can't get the ball to curve left of the target on command, that's indicative to me of where you're at skill wise. A good player could curve it to the left on command. Someone who's a poor player cannot, period, to me. And so I would like you to be able to curve it to the left. Doesn't mean you need to play a draw or do it forever,
Sure.
but you need to curve left. Once you can do that, I would generally work path. So that would be underneath the stick type of stuff. And so that you can hit a draw. That now you're starting to start it right, curve it left. And then I would do pivot. I usually do it in that order. Curve it left first, then path to start it right, then pivot to take the curve off. That'd be like a general philosophy.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect scenario of teaching the average golfer. You know, I talk to my guys all the time. It's like you can't go with the beginner and teach them pivot. You got to teach them some face awareness. You got to teach them what, how that relates to the attachment, and teach them what the club needs to do, and then work sort of backwards, right? You got to reverse engineer it at some point.
I want to say one other thing on that, because I also think it's important for someone, especially who's younger teaching, is because when you watch conversations online, everything's relevant. I want someone to learn to square a face, and I don't really give a shit how they do it. Now, I would prefer that they had a reasonable grip and good wrist conditions. I would prefer that they have a club face that's squarer earlier, right? Of course. But if someone comes in and they play once a week and they can't square the face, and they need to add more supination or arm rotation during the downswing, or what the hell ever they need to do to curve it left, all of that needs to be on the table. Even if you see someone who makes fun of you online because they say you shouldn't roll your arms or do a draw. It doesn't matter about that. It matters when John in front of you wants to curve it left, and you need to figure out a way to do it. And it doesn't matter how you do it. You have to use whatever options you have.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's your player, like your upper demographic guy that maybe doesn't have the ability to turn left with his body, right?
Exactly.
If you've got a player that has no choice but to be relatively square at impact, that would be your player that doesn't need a super strong grip or super strong club face. You teach them how to flip it, right?
Exactly.
I mean, again, what is our job? Make them hit the ball better. And you're exactly right. I'm glad you said that, because there's no cookie cutter out there. And that's knowing your player, being able to test them for whatever they have the capability of doing with their body. I've got several of those guys, it's like, and I've gone down that road. I've made that mistake too.
Me too.
Oh man, let's get that thing really strong at the top. Let's get them, shallowing it out, and then let's teach them how to rotate, and then everything goes to hell.
Yeah.
You got to
let them flip draw.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's like, I love that. I think it's important.
We collectively as a whole teaching golf try and teach people into optimal more than we should just teach them into playable a lot of times.
I like that. Optimal versus playable. Yeah. It's good. So what have you learned, if there's any like sort of new skills that you've learned going through this process of now going more online and doing the videos? I mean, have you found that and I've watched your videos and I think you're really good on camera now. Do you feel like you've developed that skill over time?
Oh yeah. I think that, I think the main thing, I've legitimately we've filmed like 2,000 videos in the past 3 years. Like, it's a lot. You can't help but.
You're going to get better if you're not paying attention. Right. Yeah.
So I think Jason, my communication ability in person, especially when we're doing the schools now, has improved because of being on camera, where getting to the point without a lot of fluff in between with a lot of people and being clear, with the communication, that has helped. And I also think what I've learned is from putting out videos and getting the feedback of the videos, and reading the comments. Like, I'll reply to every comment I get on there. I've got the opportunity to learn how people think better, in seeing how people respond, what topics they like, what they don't, how they comment on videos, and sort of how people think about things beyond what they would normally tell me when I'm with them in person. Because when I'm with them in person, I say something, no, this is good. I got it. This is good.
Sure.
I got it. I love it.
No clue.
No idea. They have no idea what the hell's going on. Right. But they say yes to make me feel, whatever. But when you're commenting online, it's different, and they're a little freer with what they say and think. So a lot of times I found like, oh wow, this thing that I think is elementary or that I just assume people know or understand isn't, and I need to go back and re-explain to that person that, like, hey, like John, I guess, again, like, dude, you learning like simple club face stuff that I take for granted that the golfer doesn't understand. Just like if I put myself in a new scenario, which I'm doing right now with my travel, I constantly have no freaking clue what's going on day to day. And that's what it would be like for me going in to take the golf lesson. I think approaching it like I'm the one taking the lesson is always a really good net end place to get to.
That's a great place for all of us to try to put ourselves into, I think. It's for sure.
Yeah. And I'll say one thing too, Jason, with the camera, what's really worked for me, and I'll see if you find some of this too, is like when I look at the camera, I would speak to it as if I'm speaking to a person.
Yes.
Right. Is that you do something similar?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I always tell young coaches out there, and again, I'm not going to ask the question about, giving young coaches advice, because I think we're doing that this whole interview. Is when I did my first YouTube video in 2009, like it was awful. Right. But I mean, the more you do that, I think the better your communication skills get. And because I see it all the time, because now we sort of take it for granted after we've sort of been through it and we're comfortable in front of the camera. You've got to you got to visualize who you're talking to, right? It's one person you're talking to. You come up with little tricks, right? To sort of get you in that mode of like, I was great at like I was pretty good at just one take most of the time. Now I'm not as good now, because I think I get, like you said, you get too anal about what you thought it should have been, and then you want to do it again, and you can never do it again like the best way you do it the first way. I mean, that's just my thoughts, but I think it's so valuable for young coaches out there to just film themselves, whether it's teaching or giving a tip. It's going to definitely help you. Did you do any research, like when you started getting into it, as far as like reading books or maybe having a different persona as far as like style on camera that you employed?
It's interesting. I had done a lot of that for coaching. So I had read a lot of communication books. I had watched a lot of communication videos, never with the intent though, Jason, of like, let me learn how to present, which is something that I would like to delve into moving forward. I don't want to assume that I have that covered. I think we can all speak better and present better, but I did it, I did it for, I studied a lot of NLP for a long
Tony Robbins.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
where a lot of that came from. And so there's some things I picked up from there in communicating and reading a lot of body language, and the way I still now like would touch someone. There's still things I use. But it was always for me to get better at coaching. Nothing that I did was ever intentional about doing the YouTube or the videos.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some of the most memorable books that have kind of affected your coaching? Or I know this is a great question. Excellent. Everybody like they get you when you're on the spot. I know when I'm on the other side, I always forget. But anything come to mind? Like, I always love the other stuff, like the personal development or the marketing or anything that you could share with the audience.
Yeah, one of the things that I do in my personal development, like I told you, I'm anal, is I make sure I read 10 pages a day. I literally have it on a list, which I could show you in the video, where I check mark every day to keep myself accountable. Yeah. So right now I'm reading Peak. And so Peak is Secrets from the New Science of Expertise. It's Anders Ericsson, right? So it's deliberate practice. And so this book that I'm currently reading right now, I think is very good. So this
Hold it up and I'll take a picture.
So this book is all about purposeful practice. It's basically how people get better at things, which I know you and I have experience with this, but not a lot of people maybe have read it. But it's how people get better at stuff, and it outlines purposeful practice. And a lot of the concepts are so simple that we've all done our whole lives without knowing it. And it gives you some case studies. Like, I think every golf coach should read that, maybe like right in the beginning, to say, and this could be as simple as just, you have to make things consistently slightly more difficult, but not too difficult, right? That might be like the macro take home out of that.
Yeah. I like it.
But it's a good book. What other ones? Oh, I just read Shoe Dog.
I've not heard of that one. Okay.
That was Phil Knight. It was like a memoir of Phil Knight about when he started Nike. Dude, you would love.
Oh, wow. I got to get that.
Because you want to talk about like struggling in the beginning. Look at, and that's what's so beautiful about the time we live in right now. Phil Knight is worth like $14 billion. He freaking started Nike. Okay. And the first couple chapters, you get a look at like how Nike started. Dude, it was a debacle. It's like you and me with what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
And to see behind the scenes, that's what I really like. I like watching or reading behind the scenes book like that of like, oh, Phil Knight's just like Jason and I. He's the same thing. But we're doing golf right now with this. He was a runner at Oregon. He did shoes, right? And they did a lot of shoes and other things. But Shoe Dog, dude, you would love.
It's just, I mean, it probably typically entrepreneurs, and you've probably, you listen to a lot of podcasts like I do, they're all just trying to solve a problem. Right? I mean,
exactly right.
Yeah. So like if we want to make more money, do you want to free up more time? Do you want to spend time with more family? Figure it out. Right.
Exactly.
What does that look like? Right. So, I mean, that's all they're trying to do. And it's so much trial and error. I mean, you mentioned failures there. I mean, are there any failures along the way that you can share with us that maybe you learn from, that I always say spur you on to bigger and better successful moments in your career?
I hate to be cliche, but dude, there's like continuous, like every day.
I think any great high performer is gonna have that, right? But are there any sort of examples you could give us?
Yeah, there's honestly so many. I don't even say that. We did as a funny one. We did a video shoot not long ago. Not when we were in Pinehurst recently, when you and I talked, but last time we were there. We're doing this video shoot, camera crew, a lot of money invested into it at a nice club down in Pinehurst. And I was coming from Pennsylvania. I get there the morning, get to my hotel, wake up, get ready to go to the course. No pants.
Oh no!
I got no pants. I packed no pants. Okay, I got this camera crew coming. I got all these people. We paid the course a lot of money. And I'm sitting in my hotel room 30 minutes from about when I'm supposed to be at the course, and I have no pants to wear. Now, the reality is that shit like that happens to me all the time. Like the camera didn't work. We just filmed YouTube videos with Andrew Rice.
Yep.
Our audio was terrible. Like we messed up the audio. It was a debacle. I mean, I really, really, really think that that's such a good question and important, because before you get into it, I think you look at someone from the outside and you just assume things go like they have it figured out.
Sure.
And the reality is every time we do something, there will be something this week that really gets messed up. The difference maker is someone like you and I, it doesn't take me off task. Like, it's like, okay, how do we solve, to your point?
Yeah.
What needs to happen to figure this out? Let's keep going.
Got to pivot. Got to keep going.
And just keep taking action on it and figure it out as you go. The worst thing is trying to get it perfect, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I love the podcast, because like, I don't have to be perfect. I can edit some stuff out. I've had plenty of times where, I mean, I got 30 minutes into like one of the greatest interviews with a tour player and didn't have the SD card was full.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just stuff like that. It's just like, oh my God. Like, then you got to like, all right, let's keep going. Let's go. But yeah, any other examples? Anything?
Oh, dude, we could do an hour on this shit.
That's okay.
I launched golf schools last year. So I never did golf school before I launched these schools, and I wanted to do 2-day things. I limited it to 3 people on the first one because I was scared and I was nervous of doing any more than 3 people. So I had 3 people come in to do a school, and we're in Bethlehem. It just so happens that my first golf school day, it's like the humidest day in Pennsylvania history, the hottest day that's ever happened there. I got these 3 people that come in, me and 3 guys. On hole 1 of my first golf school ever, the guy hits his drive and he hurts his back. Hurts his back to the point where he has to walk off the course and go home.
Oh my God.
So my first golf school, I got 3 people. I'm down to 2. First guy leaves. And we're out there. Now, I skipped a part, which is that we had so much rain that week, there was no carts. So first golf school, no carts available, 3 people, first guy hurts his back. Now there's 2 of us. We're on the course. We get to about hole 4. We're walking down. I didn't bring any water. Like I my first school, I don't know what's going on. I didn't bring any water for anybody. Second guy keels over, falls down on the fairway, and he's laying on the ground. Now I'm on hole 4. There's no carts. There's no water. And I got a guy keeled over on the ground. And that's how your first golf schools go, right? and shit like that has come up. Anytime I do something that's like new and above my like current capacity, it's always super uncomfortable. There's no way of getting around that. Stuff always goes off. But, then there was a second school, and that was a little better. And a third one. And I remember Jim Rohn said, to bring it back, his first, he got on stage the first time, and I think he said he forgot to like speak or whatever. He forgot his whole speech, right?
Yes.
And he's up there standing. And he said the difference between him and the other people is that he did the second speech. And there's such a valuable lesson to that, and everything we've talked about today, the YouTube, so on and so forth, is, we've done 600 YouTube videos and we still make a lot of mistakes with it. Like, there's still a lot to be improved upon, but there'll be a 601, and that's the point of it.
Don't quit.
dude, and just like, and understand you're going to want to quit, and we all want to quit, I think, at points, but slow and steady. If you just keep doing it, you're going to figure out how to improve it over time. And that's the key to it.
Yeah, it's like it's like if it's worth it, right? And obviously you're passionate about it. You sort of there's got to be something that keeps you going, right? Like you said, if whether it's you make more money or you just love doing it, like it's just. And I think winners just do that, right? It's tough to teach that. It's easy to say, but just like it's just like what happens when things get tough, right? I mean, and I think that's such a great lesson for anybody listening.
And I think, Jason, you can learn to change that. Like, I have had a history of quitting things my entire life. I was not a grit stuff out person ever. Like, things got hard, I quit. Try something new. Things got hard, I quit. And I've developed over time through personal development, through guys like Jim Rohn, the fact that doesn't need to be that way. Like, through Peak and through learning how things actually work. Like, I can I can change one thing that's cool in Peak, and I'm going to get off task, but
that's all right.
They say in the book is that we always have approached things from a learning perspective, that our goal is to reach our potential. And what they say in the book is that what the goal should be is to make your potential greater. Not reach the bar, right?
Yeah.
But take whatever the bar is.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it can be changed. It can be changed. I'm a way different person than I was 3 years ago. Way different person. And that's a changeable thing. And I didn't know that. Like I don't remember people communicating that to me growing up. No. Or at least I wasn't listening. Right.
No. Well, that's the thing is like, are we, and I always say that, when we receive information or things happen in our life, it's either it's the right time or it's the wrong time. Right. And like it was the right time for you. I was 30, just like you, when I first found Jim Rohn and the ideas, and then me having that passion to sort of improve myself, which ultimately improved me as a coach. Like, it was just the right time, right? I mean, I think that's huge, but I think what you're saying too is kind of bring this back full circle a little bit, is you need other people to help you too, right? Like your business partner, like the coaches around us. And that also leads me into, you're starting to branch out by collaborating with other coaches with your online stuff, which I think is great. And that's what I've sort of led myself into doing the last few years too, is we don't know it all. And I'm not very smart. So I love getting smarter people around me to like share information, and having that value to create to your students is massive. So talk about how that started, and then some of the people that you've brought on in the last, how long has that been? The last few months, really, you're starting to travel and doing videos with other top coaches. And I hope to be one of those one day.
Dude, if we'd had a freaking extra day when we were coming to Pinehurst, I would have loved to swing over, and we will do that. And I think I think you and I are really doing the same thing, right? Just on different platforms of surrounding ourselves. And I'm the same way. Like, I'm not the smartest dude. I think one thing that I've gotten better at is putting people who are better than me in areas around me.
100%.
And, not assuming that I need to be the one to do it. So, the collaborations were born twofold. One is, like, I see our YouTube growth kind of steadily on a reasonable incline. But there's some people I watch on YouTube where there's big spikes. Big verticals. And one thing that, if you look at it, the data over time, collaborations across industries is one way to do that. And so that was one idea, was we want to spike our growth. and get people on the channel also who have their own audiences, right? Who we could
Right.
do some stuff, which we have some cool stuff coming up. And the second part is like, man, like some Sundays come where I prepare for Monday videos and I'm like, dude, I'm out. I'm like, I'm
The
done.
ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I'm
tough.
like, oh. And so the reality is I need help. I realize that our YouTube channel right now is Eric Cogorno Golf. And for us to grow it to the level of helping the people that I want to be able to help in numbers, it can't just be me. There needs to be more people. I think we'll rebrand it within the next 2 or 3 years. But initially, I just want to bring other ideas on. And we've gone 2 months now. We're on a 5-month road trip. I think we'll probably end up doing close to like 20 to 25 of different like people that will be in collaborations. I think we're going to do like 70 cities, which will be cool. And so like we've done maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe five or six that we posted on YouTube so far. And then we have some cool ones coming up in the next couple of weeks. And it's just little different stuff. Like if I came to you and we did some videos, you and I probably think pretty similar about most all shit. But
Yeah.
like you say it one way, I say it one way. You have a drill,
Sure.
that, you know,
Yeah.
and I think not only does that serve well of the audience, it also for me serves well. Like I've gotten so much in these past 2 months of being around people. So it's been really cool. Now you have to, this goes back to what we talked about before. Like you got to be willing to like, I'm going to go travel for 5 months. I'm going to
Yeah.
be uncomfortable every day. Like
Who's paying for that, right? That's you got to have,
Big
it's
Papa's paying for that.
there you go. That's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
you're basically spending money to not make money until later on, right? So that's a risk factor and a trust factor. But yeah, like you said, you're getting it. It's a 2-way street. You're now able to spend time. That's why I love the podcast. I get to spend time with guys like you, via remote or live and learn and share, right? So it's just basically the law of attraction.
Can't help but have good things come from stuff like this, man.
I know, right? So you got Andrew, right? I saw you had my buddy Ian Highfield on there. Like, tell
so
us
good.
a few of the other top coaches you got on there.
The first one we ever did was Marty Nowicki. And so Marty's upstate New York. He came down. We did some stuff with him. He's the owner of Impact Snap for people who might not know him.
Yep. I know Marty.
He's a super good guy. Those videos now that was the first one we ever did. And just like everything else, no, winging it. Right.
Yeah.
And then those videos did well, performed well relative to our normals. Like, okay, we have something here. We did Steve Saraki, who's in New Jersey, who's near us, who's a good young coach. And then we came down, and I think Andrew was the next one we did, Andrew Rice in Savannah. And then we did Game Like Training, Ian Highfield. And then we did David Orr, which is when we were up Pinehurst.
Nice, yeah.
And then Ben Pelicani in Nashville. And this week we're back in Florida to start coming down. So the next 2 weeks we'll have some that I have to kind of keep secret until they.
Yeah, that's cool. I get it.
Yeah. No, it's all guys that are like, and you know what's cool, Jason, is meeting a lot of the people is we're all just kind of like each other. It's just regular guys like us that. So it's been cool, man.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So what do you do when you get stressed out, man? I know you're into working out. We've got, again, share a lot of traits in the fitness standpoint. But what else? Is there any tactics or tricks that you do to kind of get yourself balanced?
100%. Yeah. In fact, I would go as far as saying I have such a strict morning routine that I almost need to do to have myself at like a balanced level. And so I think that's a big part of it. So now again, I'm a little anal with this stuff, but
okay.
For
Take
me,
it's good. I love this.
So I wake up at the same time every day, 6:15 every day, no matter what. I go to the gym at 7:00. I'm in the gym from 7 to 8 every day. I come home from the gym. I listen to 30 minutes of personal development. It'd be could be on my computer, whatever. I then do 20 minutes of what I would call mindfulness, which is like a meditation.
Ah,
yep.
There you go. Yep.
And I do it every day. It's huge.
Any certain genre or app that you're using? Like what are you doing?
I learned it through, I tried a bunch of things, right? And there was this, I think it was 5-phase meditation. The guy's name was Vishen Lakhiani, I believe.
Okay.
And he had this meditation with a couple steps. So it goes through, the first couple minutes are breathing. It's like a Wim Hof, the guy who does like the cold training stuff. So I do a breathing routine for a couple of minutes, and then I do a presence to get present. So that would be, I become aware of all my senses. So that's sight, hearing, smelling, feeling. And then I do, so I'll go through that, and then I do gratitude. So I'll spend like 3 minutes going through things I'm grateful for. And then I do my vision for the future. And so, and this for me has been unbelievable. Like, if I were to pass away tomorrow and I could leave one thing for people to implement, it would be this. So now you got to keep in mind, I don't know if everyone's going to be able to see this or not. Now, I got lists, Jason, right? So like none of this stuff is like an accident thing, right? So you'll be able to see this. I have lists on here.
I feel like I need to like video this.
So I have every day, this is a legal pad full of this, which is every day. I write down 6 things that I literally check mark as I go through them. So it'll look like this. Now those 6 things read workout, personal development video, mindfulness, read, embrace fear, build discipline. And so I'll write that down every day, and then I check them off. And then I have a weekly task list. It looks like this. Every week I write on Sunday, and so I check them off, right? These are things I need to do per week. And then I have a monthly task list of things I want. So these are my 220 goals that I've written down on here.
Love it.
I read these every day.
This is so good.
7 days a week for the past
I'm
3 years.
videoing on my phone. But
Yeah.
this is
And then
more
I'll
for me
do-
too.
I'll do a 3-year list, right? And I took me hours to like think through this list, right? You got to take time with it.
Straight out of like Tony Robbins' goal setting seminar I did like years
100%.
ago. Yeah, that's awesome.
So when I do a vision thing, what I'll do is I read those lists every morning, and then I'll sit and I close my eyes.
Do you read them out loud?
I don't.
Okay, so you read them to yourself.
I just read them to myself.
Okay.
But I read them, and then I sit down, and then I'll visualize those things happening, and I'm talking like I'll feel it. So like one thing I want to have is a beach house in Ocean City, Maryland. It's 3 bedrooms, it's 2 bathrooms, it's oceanfront, it's remodeled. I know where the bathrooms are. I can smell the ocean when I walk out front of the place, right? I have a picture of what the building looks like. And the things I visualize over the past 3 years, it's been unbelievable how they've come to fruition. Now, I've researched a lot of like why that is, and there's reticular activating system, as we know, and I see that. And I think what goes on is because I'm so aware of all of it, and it's so heightened, the opportunities that are always already there, I'm now aware of and attracted to and take advantage of. But dude, I'm telling you, there's shit that seems so like coincidental that pops up that's straight from the list. And I've heard so many examples of this working for people.
Yes.
That why not try it? Like, what if it's half true?
Affirmations, man. It's like goes way back to 1937. Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill. It's insane, right? But I mean, you're right. What it does is it keeps you focused on moving forward, making decisions in your life that are going to push you towards the goal, which we all need. I need that every day. Like this is so helpful for me because one of my I don't do resolutions. I just think I know the plan. I just need to get back to consistency in the little things that we do daily. So you're an inspiration, like to be able to do that. How long have you been doing that?
January 1, 2017.
That's awesome. That's incredible.
Yeah, every day. But it goes back to your point of like how do you not quit as you go? Well, dude, when you're pounding that in every day for 3 years, it's never easy, but it gets easier. And I went in a different direction to your question, but the breathing that I do in that meditation phase, that's what I do. So like I did a video shoot today, and the beginning of it, there was people there. I was like a little antsy, about like the video shoot.
Yeah.
And so breathing for me works well to recenter myself. And then I always get present. I always before I'm to do that, I'll do a 30-second deep inhale, exhale. And then I'll do a present scan. What do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? I feel myself in space, and then I'm usually ready to go.
Yeah, that's great. I just started using the Sam Harris Waking Up app
Love it.
probably 3 or 4 months ago. But again, I'm not consistent enough with it, right? And that's one of my goals for 2020. It's like,
Why
I
not? Why do you
got,
think you're not?
I because I don't probably I don't write it down, right? I don't have that routine
Yeah.
in place yet, right? It's like I got to get into a routine. And that's funny. I'm going to read this. Hopefully, this is okay. But this kind of goes along with what you just said. So this was again back to goals, and again, I don't even call them goals. I just say, how do you be your best self, right?
Mm.
What's gonna create your best self? And I just wrote this down as this was a perfect day for me. Right. Number one was meditate for 20 minutes. Number two was work out and exercise for 30 minutes to an hour. Number three was read for 30 minutes. Four was journal for 30 minutes. And then five was, whatever you want to do with your diet. I just started doing this intermittent fasting thing. That's another,
Yeah.
that's another. So I'd fasting for 18 hours, eat clean, and then make an action list the night before for the next day. Like that's my goal I got to start putting it into place, right? I do half of those, but it's like for the listeners out there, that's it. I mean, it's like figure out what works for you and what's going to make you successful, but it's consistency, right? It's routine, like you said, but kudos to you for being able to do that. And get back to basics,
To piggyback on what you just said, and for me, momentum's a big thing. Like I
100%.
can't, yeah, like I need to do it every day. I need to do it at the same damn time, and I need to be like a machine with it. And so when I built these lists, and when you just said all those things, like to me, doing all that at once when I first started would have been too much.
Right. You got to chunk it, right?
Got to chunk it, exactly.
Yeah.
So I started with, all right, I'm going to start with the workout. Like I'm gonna get up at 6:15, and dude, getting out of bed for me every day is a win. Like none of this shit is like,
yeah, I get it.
I'm walking on clouds, Like
Yeah.
a lot of days I wake up and I'm like, I don't feel like going. Like I want to lay here a little bit, but I go, which is
What do you tell yourself when you have those moments of like,
Can we swear? Can I swear on here?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like, dude, get the F up.
Yeah,
it's more that.
yeah.
It's more like you're better than that.
I love it. Self-talk.
Yeah, I'm usually a little like not in the best mood in the morning when I get up. I'm not in a. I'm kind of a little of an anger, so it's more like anger at myself. Like let's get. But then once I get going, I mean, I've literally done the same thing every morning for 3 years. So it starts.
Are you married?
No.
Well, so that helps.
Yeah, exactly.
Bit.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it.
But regardless, it's not an excuse. I was just curious.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think for people who are no, I have things laid out nicely for me to be able to take advantage of it. I think building blocks of all the things you just said. Well, you just wrote out if everyone did that. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And the thing is, and this is golf too. When I walk someone through a swing change, like I almost now just approach if someone's going to change their swing. It's like let's say you need depth in their backswing. Like let's look at this as a 12-month deal. Everyone comes in and they want a swing change by the next lesson, and there should be progress, right?
Yeah.
But like, dude, I've been working on my backswing turn for like 8 months. Like it comes, it goes, it gets better, it gets worse. It's 8 months of it, and so like this system all these things, it wasn't like I wrote it down and then like I went to the gym and like I saw my perfect thing and all this the shit just happened. Like,
right.
It's the steady, boring, like, hey, you want to lose weight, dude? Like it's diet and gym, buddy. Like that's what it is. It's the boring consistency. But I freaking love that. Like that's the shit that I like. The David Goggins like self.
There we go.
Yeah, I dig that, man. I like it. I like the mental fortitude of like, where am I at? Like, what am I willing to do or not do? And I love that shit, man. I love that shit. We talk about that all night.
Absolutely. I met him a couple years ago. I watched him. I saw him speak.
Get out.
And it was amazing. I got to talk to him. Like, dude, Berkeley's Marathon. You ever heard of the Barclays Marathon?
No.
Google that. Hardest marathon in the world. And he was getting ready to go. And it's like a secret thing. I'm going to get into marathoning here, but it was like a secret. It's basically like you got to figure out how to sign up type of deal. and I knew he was
Oh, wow.
going, and I was the only one in the whole crowd. It was like a corporate event. I said, "Tell me what your next thing is," and he goes, "I can't talk about it." I go, "The Barclays," and he goes, "How do you know about that?" And like only like 12 people in the whole thing has ever finished it. It's crazy. That dude's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, he's on another level. But man, if you and I could be like 1/10 Goggins, man, we're
Right.
rolling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So I appreciate your time, man. This has been incredible. I feel like we need to have a part two.
Yes, sir.
But I'm gonna let you go with one more question. Very important.
Yeah.
If you could have a gigantic billboard and get your message out to the world, what would your billboard say and why?
Oh, wow.
It could be a mantra, saying, quote. You could have multiple billboards.
So what a good question. One thing that I really feel strongly about, I'm going to see if I can word this right, is the idea that you can change who and what you are. And so maybe it's something as simple as that, of like what and who you are right now is changeable, and you have the control and power to change that. That might be one. Um, oh, this is good. Maybe like something along the lines of 3 years from now, you could be a completely different human being. I lied before. I listened to you and George, and he said the be present thing, and I like that a lot. He said to be present on the billboard thing.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I'm not doing a good job of wording it, but I think the general idea would be you can be different, and you control that.
Change is possible.
100%.
Right. I love it.
Yeah, in your control, doable.
That's awesome, man.
Doable.
What a great way to close. And I appreciate your time. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I feel like we need to have another one at some point. Probably a live. Let's say you come down. We'll do some videos, and then we'll do like part two live in
Done.
studio. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. To give them your social platforms, give them your site, and how they can get signed up.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Eric Cogorno. Our YouTube channel is Eric Cogorno Golf. Probably our YouTube channel is the easiest way to communicate, and then everything else we would do if people want to chat more would be through there.
What's the? I got a lot. I got one more question. What's the worst
Yeah.
comment you've ever gotten on YouTube?
One thing I've noted, and you follow Grant Cardone at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
So he talks a lot about the sort of bigger the audience, the more you get the hate.
sure.
So the amount of negative comments I get has increased steadily as time has
As it
passed.
should.
Right. So I will say once every other day, I get a comment that's geared something along the lines of that, like, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm an idiot. I shouldn't be on here doing videos. And this is a whole conversation too. I mean, in the beginning, I would write paragraphs, right, to like prove someone wrong, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the worst thing, Jason, would be when someone says something so stupid and it's wrong to the point where I'm like, I have to correct this. Like I have to correct this.
You have to be right.
Yeah, I just have to be like what the person said is just so false. I don't even want anyone else to think it's right. Now I just say thanks for the feedback and move on. But I still read a comment and can feel a little something in my stomach. I just won't
Sure.
react anymore. But dude, every day I get that, man.
That's awesome. That
Every
means you're
day.
popular and it means you're doing the right things.
I hope we're helping a lot of people, man. Steps in the right direction.
You definitely are, man. And I can't thank you enough for your time, and keep doing what you're doing. Keep moving forward and keep getting better, man. I really, really appreciate your time and your knowledge.
I had a blast. I appreciate you having me. And we're going to hook that up where we do come up and do some videos and we'll do a podcast. So I'll be in touch after we're done here.
Absolutely. I
All
look
right.
forward to it. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, man.
What's up, everyone? Guru back here again with a couple of things before you go. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And first, big thank you to Eric for coming on the show and sharing his incredible knowledge about teaching, branding, and some awesome life lessons that I know will help you all become better coaches and just better human beings in general. Make sure you follow Eric on the gram and Twitter at Eric Cogorno. That's EricCogorno. And give him a social wave, say thank you, and please share this episode. All I ask for you guys as I give this to you for free is to tell somebody about it you think it will help and share it on social. Thank you again for our sponsors, nvidhemp.com. All you CBD lovers out there, make sure you go to nvidhemp.com and use the Guru 20% discount code for life. That is an awesome deal, and I'm loving the CBD. Also, thank you to Hack Motion, the wrist sensor, as I use that on a daily, and you can use the Guru code for that as well, GURU, after you purchase that training aid. You can also follow and reach me on Twitter or Instagram at Golf Guru TV. Go ahead and give me a follow if you're not following. That would be great. Let's get my followers up a little bit out there. Share it around. Let's push this thing in 2020. Make sure you also go to the App Store and download the Golf Guru app for you coaches and players out there. We're doing a huge price break starting here in the next couple of weeks. So I'm putting out some awesome content. If you're interested in that, go check it out. Also, check out my website at golfgurutv.net, where you can find videos, articles, and more information on my teaching and coaching. If you have a question or comment, please email the show at golfgurushow@gmail.com or just hit me up on the DM. Thank you for being patient. I'm getting crazy DMs lately, trying to catch up on all the love and the questions that I've been getting. I will probably need to do a Q&A session here shortly to answer a lot of these questions that I'm getting, but I appreciate it. This show and all episodes of the Golf Guru Show are produced by myself, Jason Sutton. Music is by Kevin MacLeod and Zach Mullett. And as I leave you with the infamous Jim Rohn, RIP, my man, study, practice, teach, and then pass it on. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you next time.